Close your eyes for a moment. And imagine waking up in ancient Egypt, not as a pharaoh or a noble, but as a regular person. The year is roughly 1500 BCE. The air is dry. Your skin burns under the desert sun and there's a dull ache in your back because you've been sleeping on a straw mat surrounded by buzzing flies and the stink of yesterday's sweat. You're not a tourist here. You live here, and you're about to start a day that would make even the toughest modern soul beg for air conditioning, antibiotics, and a labor union. You hear it before you see it, the drums. Not of celebration, but of duty. The village awakens not with the soft buzz of a phone alarm, but with shouting, animals, and the cries of children. There are no mornings here, only survival. You scramble up, not to stretch or brush your teeth, but to throw on a linen wrap and head straight to the fields. The Nile floods have just receded, leaving behind rich silt that must be planted fast. The overseer doesn't care that your joints hurt or that you haven't eaten yet. If you're late, you'll be whipped. If you faint, someone else will take your place. You're replaceable, always. As you step outside, the heat already hammers down like a punishment. You're 22 years old, but your face is weathered like a man of 50. The average Egyptian peasant didn't live long. 35 years was a good run. You've lost siblings to infections. Your neighbor died from a scorpion sting last week. Another man went blind after drinking water from the canal. But there's no time to dwell on mortality. The plows need pulling. The oxen need guiding. The work is endless. And you do it barefoot. No gloves. No boots. No sunscreen. Your hands are blistered from the rough wooden tools. You bend, dig, lift, sweat, and repeat. By mid-morning, your back feels like it's breaking. But the sun is only rising higher. A priest walks by, giving blessings to the harvest workers, but skips you. Your family couldn't afford an offering last week. That means no divine favor. If your crops fail, it's your fault. The gods are fair, they say, but your stomach rumbles with the memory of half a loaf of barley bread you had last night. That was dinner. It was also breakfast, and probably lunch too. By noon, you've already worked 6 hours. There's no lunch break, only a pause to drink stale water from a shared clay jar, contaminated, warm, and crawling with tiny worms. Someone mentions a rumor that Pharaoh Thutmose is building a new temple in Thebes, and he's conscripting laborers from nearby villages. You feel a chill, not because of fear, because of memory. Last time, your cousin went to serve on one of those royal projects and came back with half a foot and 1,000-yard stare. The truth is brutal. Ancient Egypt was not a golden paradise unless you were at the top. For everyone else, it was a slow grind of labor, disease, superstition, and fear. You worked, or you died. You obeyed, or you disappeared. You paid taxes, not in coin, but in grain, labor, and sweat. Even in death, you were charged for mummification. If you couldn't afford a proper burial, your spirit risked being devoured in the afterlife by the terrifying Ammit, a hybrid monster with the head of a crocodile and the body of a lion. But let's rewind. You're still in the field. And now it's mid-afternoon. A scribe arrives, young, clean, and uncalloused. He carries a reed pen and a wax tablet. His job? To record quotas. You hate him, because he eats well, dresses well, and never lifts anything heavier than an ink jar. He announces that your field has underperformed. The harvest is low. He implies laziness. You can't argue, because your accent is rural and your words are few. And even if you did protest, who would listen? The gods? The priests? The pharaoh? You laugh inwardly. Back at home, after dusk falls, you finally rest. Your wife cooks a stew of lentils and onions, luxury. Considering there's no meat, your children sit in the dirt, playing with toy animals made of baked clay. Your oldest has a cough that won't go away. There's no medicine. The village healer uses honey, moldy bread, or magic amulets, but mostly it's hope and prayers. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. As night settles, you lie under the stars, exhausted but awake. The Nile whispers in the distance, and you wonder, why do the gods never whisper back? And then you remember the story your grandfather told you, of a time when the gods did speak, through famine, through plague, through the rise and fall of empires. He said the gods favored pharaohs, not peasants. But pharaohs died too. Their tombs are sealed with gold, but their bodies still rot beneath it all. You drift into sleep, haunted by dreams of scarabs crawling beneath your skin. A real fear. By the way, Insects, parasites, and disease were part of daily life. They entered your body in water, in food, even through wounds. Ancient Egypt was clean by ancient standards, but not by yours. There was no antiseptic, no real surgery. Amputations were done with bronze knives and prayer. Toothaches were treated with ground donkey teeth and incense. If you lived long enough to go bald, they'd rub crushed dates and dog paws on your scalp. And somehow, someone got rich selling that as medicine. But despite it all, there is beauty here too. When the sun rises again, and the desert turns golden, and the pyramids in the distance catch fire in the light, it's hard not to feel awe. You are part of something eternal. You are a thread in a grand tapestry of gods, kings, and legends. Your name might not be remembered, but your sweat built a civilization that would outlast empires. That knowledge gives you comfort, a strange kind of immortality. Still, if someone gave you a time machine back to 2025, with air conditioning, pizza, and Netflix, you'd probably sell your soul for it. So next time you think ancient history is boring, remember this. You wouldn't last a single day in ancient Egypt. Not with your coffee habits, your soft hands, or your Wi-Fi addiction. You'd cry before breakfast, and then you'd be assigned to move bricks for the next 16 hours. Barefoot. Let's fast forward, just a little. You're still in ancient Egypt. But this time, you're not a farmer. You're a builder. Not the kind who gets praised in documentaries or written into textbooks. No, you're one of thousands. A nameless cog in the construction of something so massive it scrapes the sky, literally. You're helping to build a pyramid. Sounds majestic, doesn't it? Until your shift begins. First off, let's kill a myth. The pyramids were not built by slaves. They were built by workers, some paid in beer and bread, others in obligation to the state. The ancient Egyptian government called it corvée labor, a form of forced work where citizens had to contribute their time to royal projects. You didn't get to say no. Refusal meant beatings, prison, or worse, being sent to the copper mines. A death sentence in disguise. You arrive at the site before dawn. The Giza Plateau looms in front of you like the edge of the world. The pyramid itself is halfway done, rising 100 feet high already. Its limestone blocks blinding in the morning sun. You wipe sweat from your face before even picking up your tools. Because here's the catch. The real pain hasn't started yet. You're assigned to the hauling team. Today, your task is to help move a single stone block weighing over 2 tons, using wooden sledges, ropes, and pure human power. There are no forklifts, no pulleys, no safety gear, just shouting, grunting, and the ever-present threat of injury. One misstep and your foot is crushed. One slip, and the block rolls, flattening legs like reeds. The foreman yells in a dialect you barely understand, and you obey out of instinct. You've seen what happens to people who argue. They vanish. At midday, your body is already screaming. Your hands are raw from rope burns. Your back aches, but the worst is the heat. You're wrapped in linen, drenched in sweat, while the desert sun cooks you like a fish on a slab. There's no shade, only the faint mercy of a passing breeze. Sometimes, people pass out. No one stops. They get dragged to the side, splashed with water, maybe revived, maybe not. You're given beer as hydration, yes, beer, not because they wanted you drunk, but because the water was too contaminated to drink. The beer is thick, warm, and full of grain particles. It tastes terrible, but it keeps you alive. Barely. By evening, your skin is burnt, your muscles feel shredded, and your spirit? It's somewhere else. The pyramid stands taller than yesterday. Each block a reminder of your insignificance. You wonder, who will ever know I was here? Will anyone remember the men who bled for this monument? No, they'll remember the pharaoh, the god king who will be entombed inside, along with treasures, food offerings, and even live servants if he's feeling particularly divine. You, on the other hand, will be buried in a shallow grave outside the workers' village, wrapped in reed mats, with no name etched in stone. But still, you come back the next day. And the next, and the next. Because in this world, to build is to survive. And for some, to build is to believe. You hear stories at night, that every stone laid brings you closer to eternal life. That pharaoh will carry your soul with him into the afterlife. That your suffering has meaning. That the gods see you. You want to believe it. Because if they don't, if no one sees you, then what was the point? In the mess hall, you eat with the other workers. It's not lavish. A bowl of porridge, some onions, a fig if you're lucky. But you laugh. You talk about the weather. About a priest's ridiculous haircut. About a rat that's been stealing everyone's bread. It's the only time you feel human. Then, it's back to your hut, mud brick. Barely ventilated, shared with 5 other men. You sleep on straw and wake with lice. Still sound like paradise? Let's zoom out. We glorify pyramids as wonders of the world. Symbols of divine geometry and human greatness. But from the ground, they look different. From the ground, they are monuments built on blisters, broken backs, and the buried dreams of thousands. The irony? Most pyramids were looted within decades. The gold? Gone. The sacred texts? Burned, stolen, lost. Some tombs were even reused by future pharaohs. Imagine spending your whole life building a tomb for a god, only for that god's bones to be tossed aside centuries later like trash. It's almost funny, tragic, but funny. And yet, somehow, there's still beauty. A flicker of light at sunset hits the limestone just right. The shadows stretch like fingers across the sand. You stop, catch your breath, and for a moment, you don't feel small, you feel part of something. You don't know it yet, but in 4,000 years, people will fly across the world just to look at what you built. They'll take selfies in front of it. They'll call it magic. Some will even say aliens did it, because the idea that men like you could build something so grand is too much for them to believe. But you did, with bruises, with curses, with songs, with blood. And so, while your name may be forgotten, your work is not. The next morning, your back still aches, your hands still tremble, but when the horn sounds, you rise, because that's what builders do, even when no one is watching. Now let's change scenes. Imagine waking up, not in a dusty hut near the pyramids, but in a stone chamber deep underground. It's dark, silent, except for the drip of water echoing off walls carved with gods who watch you like statues with eyes. You are in a tomb. Not as a worker this time. You are the one being buried. Or more accurately, you are now a mummy. You died in 1357 BCE. A respected noble in the court of Pharaoh Amenhotep III. You had land, servants, a wife who loved you, children who cried at your passing. And now, you rest, wrapped in layers of linen soaked in resin, surrounded by jars that hold your stomach, your lungs, your liver. The embalmers promised you peace, eternal life, but centuries later, you are anything but peaceful. You're being dug up. It's the year 1891. A group of British archaeologists, funded by a wealthy aristocrat who thinks tomb raiding is charming, have broken into your resting place. They're sweaty, wide-eyed, and completely indifferent to the fact that your afterlife is being desecrated. One of them cracks a joke as your sarcophagus is lifted. Another calls your face surprisingly intact. They don't see a man. They see a prize, a relic, something to be shipped back to London, catalogued, displayed. They don't know your name. They never will. What they do know is how much your burial mask will fetch at auction. What museum might want your intestines in a jar? How many people will gasp at your dried skin under glass? The irony? In life, you were terrified of this. Your whole belief system, the asterisk book of the dead, the weighing of the heart, the journey through duat, was built around one idea: that the dead must be left undisturbed. That if your tomb was broken, your soul would be lost forever. You prayed. You paid priests to perform rituals. You ordered traps to be placed in your tomb. And still, they came. And they took everything. Not just your body, your legacy, your peace. Back in London, you're placed in the Egyptian hall of a museum. Schoolchildren press their noses against the glass. Tourists take blurry photos. One man calls you creepy. Another laughs at your missing nose. You stare at them through shriveled sockets. No one wonders who you were. Only what you're worth. Now let's pan the camera out. The 19th and early 20th centuries were a golden age of Egyptomania a wave of obsession across Europe and America with all things ancient Egypt. But it wasn't respect. It was fetish. Colonial powers ransacked tombs. Museums bid on corpses. And even private collectors hosted unwrapping parties, where guests would literally peel the linen off a mummy to see what was inside. Yes, you were party entertainment. Some mummies were ground into powder and sold as medicine. Others were burned as fuel for steam engines. Egyptian history became a commodity, a circus of curses, sand, and spectacle. Now remember, this isn't fiction. This happened. Hundreds of real people, priests, nobles, workers, were treated like props in someone else's story. And here's the cruel twist. The pharaohs feared this exact fate. They spent lifetimes preparing for the afterlife. Their pyramids, tombs, and temples weren't vanity, they were defense systems for the soul. But none of it worked. Time, greed, and curiosity won. Even Tutankhamun, arguably the most famous mummy of all time, was found in 1922. Ripped from his resting place. His treasures scattered across continents. His body, so fragile it crumbled when examined, became a symbol of modern archaeology's darkest side. Discovery at the cost of desecration. So here's the question no one likes to ask. What if you were dug up centuries from now? What would they think of you? Would they call your clothes primitive? Laugh at your teeth? Sell your phone as an artifact? Would you be a person, or a specimen? And perhaps even more chilling, would anyone care? Back in the museum, a child stares at your face. For a second, their laughter fades. They tilt their head. They wonder, who was this? And in that moment, just one, you are not forgotten. You are not a display. Not a product. You are someone. But the moment passes. The child walks away. And you remain. Trapped behind glass. In a coffin that was never meant to leave the desert. You were buried with prayers for eternity. But eternity, it turns out, is a lie. Unless someone tells your story. Let's leave the tomb behind and step into something colder. Much colder. You're now in 1798. Standing on the deck of a French warship. Headed toward the Egyptian coast. You're not a soldier. You're not even a sailor. You're a scholar. Napoleon Bonaparte, the ambitious young general with dreams of empire, isn't just bringing guns to Egypt, he's bringing brains. Over 160 scientists, artists, engineers, and linguists accompany his military campaign. He calls them savants. The learned elite who will help him conquer not just with firepower, but with knowledge. And you're one of them. You believe you're part of something noble, enlightened. The French Republic is spreading liberty, science, reason. Egypt, they say, is a land of superstition and decay. You're here to change that. To document, study, classify, to civilize. But here's what they didn't tell you. The moment your boots touch the sand, you realize Egypt is not waiting to be civilized. It's old, older than you imagined, older than France itself. The ruins don't look like ruins. They look like bones of something still alive. You can feel it. You visit the temples at Thebes. The hieroglyphs stretch higher than cathedrals. You stand beneath columns carved with stories no one alive can read. They whisper to you, in silence, not because they are ghosts, but because you are deaf to their voice. And yet, you're determined to understand them. So, you do what Enlightenment thinkers do best. You start drawing, measuring, recording, everything, every statue, every glyph, every mural. You create what will one day become the Description de l'Égypte, a 20-volume encyclopedia of wonder, a masterpiece of imperial curiosity. But while you're studying gods and columns, something else is happening outside your tent. The French army is dying. From heat, from disease, from British cannons. The Battle of the Nile is a disaster. Lord Nelson annihilates the French fleet. Bonaparte flees Egypt, quietly, leaving his scholars behind. You stay, not by choice, but because you must. And now, you're under British control. The British don't kill you. They take your notes, your drawings, your artifacts, and, most famously, your greatest accidental discovery. The Rosetta Stone, a black slab, carved in 3 scripts, Greek, Demotic, and mysterious ancient Egyptian. It becomes the key to cracking hieroglyphs. But here's the part textbooks gloss over. You didn't get the credit, The British took the stone. They shipped it to London. Today, it sits in the British Museum, like a trophy in a case. Most people who visit it don't know you were ever here. But even more tragic? The locals, the Egyptians themselves, weren't even invited to the conversation. Your expedition documented, mapped, and labeled their land like it was an empty stage. You called it discovery. But was it? Can you discover something that was never lost to begin with? Let's go deeper. The Western obsession with Egypt wasn't about Egypt at all. It was about power, about holding the past like a trophy, about proving that your civilization could understand and own one more ancient than itself. Every artifact packed into crates, every mummy shipped across seas, every temple sketched and measured, it wasn't just research. It was conquest, dressed in lab coats instead of armor. And here you are, a scholar in exile, watching the sun rise over the Nile, wondering what exactly you've done. You came to learn, but did you listen? You recorded gods with animal heads, assuming they were primitive. You labeled myths as quaint, rituals as barbaric, but deep down, part of you knew, the Egyptians weren't trying to be understood. They were trying to be remembered. And now they are, but not on their terms. In glass cases, in European languages, in books that never mention the people who live here now. So what do? You keep writing, you finish your sketches, not because anyone will thank you, but because it matters. Because 4,000 years from now, someone might read your notes, someone might see what you saw, and maybe, just maybe, they'll tell the story better than you did. The desert wind howls outside your tent. You dip your pen in ink and write one last sentence. Let's rewind the clock, not to Egypt, but to something colder, wetter, and far more terrifying. You're not in a pyramid. You're on a ship, specifically, a Roman grain ship, crossing the Mediterranean Sea, sometime around 150 CE. It's midnight. The sky is a smear of black silk. The stars overhead are unfamiliar. No city lights to dim them. The wooden hull beneath your feet groans as waves slap against it. You are one of 200 men on board, sleeping shoulder to shoulder below deck, in the stench of sweat, seawater, and spoiled fish. You're headed for Rome. Your cargo? Wheat, tons of it, enough to feed thousands for a week. Your purpose? Replaceable. No one will remember your name. But the empire depends on people like you. What your history teacher probably never told you is that Rome didn't survive on conquest alone. It survived on logistics, bureaucracy, supply chains. It was a machine that had to keep moving, grain from Egypt, olive oil from Hispania, wine from Gaul, silver from Iberia, and your ship was a single, fragile artery in that vast imperial body. And tonight? That artery is about to snap. A storm hits, not gradually, not like in movies. It hits like a god's slap. The mast snaps, men scream, the deck tilts like a death trap. You hear a crash below, amphorae shattering, wheat washing out into the sea. The Roman Empire doesn't care. It won't miss you. The sea will swallow your name. Thousands of ships like this disappeared. No epic poems, no statues, just silence. You were part of the most powerful civilization on Earth, and still. One wave and you're gone. Asterisk. Let's jump forward. Modern archaeologists dredging the seafloor off the coast of Sicily discover your wreck. A pile of rotted timbers, clay jars, iron nails. They carbon date a wooden plank. They publish a paper. Maybe they put one jar in a museum. And just like that, you're back. Not as a person, as data. And again, we ask, how much of history is lost? How much of it depends on who gets to tell the story? Rome's emperors are remembered, carved in marble, their speeches preserved. But what about the sailor with a broken ankle? The cook with sunburned arms? The teenager who kissed his mother goodbye at the Alexandria harbor and never returned? Their stories aren't in the textbooks. But they were Rome. The empire was not marble and gold. It was sweat, fear, famine, disease, grain rotting in the sun, soldiers crying under desert moons, slaves whispering prayers to gods no one remembers. Do you know what historians call this? Subaltern history. The story of those below. Not emperors or generals, but the invisible millions. The ones history depends on but rarely names. And here's the tragedy. They were not boring. Their lives were brutal, heroic, hilarious, strange, full of drama and love and betrayal. But we turned them into footnotes. Because it's easier to remember Caesar than the fisherman who fed him. And maybe that's what this video is about. Not Egypt, not Rome, not pyramids or legions, but the idea that boring history is a myth. Because the people you never learned about? They bled, they dreamed, they failed, just like you. And maybe, just maybe, they deserve their story back. You wake up to the sound of a bell. A sharp clang. Then another. And another. It's not your alarm clock. It's the asterisk cathedral bell tower, echoing across the grey dawn of a medieval European town. You sit up, shivering. There's no glass in the window. Only a flap of cloth. The straw mattress itches. You slept in your clothes again. You always do. You are not a knight. Not a lord. Not a noble. You're a asterisk tanner's apprentice. And your day is about to smell horrifying. People romanticize the Middle Ages, castles, armor, chivalry, Game of Thrones vibes, but they forget about the asterisk stench. The sheer, industrial assault of daily life. Especially if you're in your line of work. Your job? Take animal hides, soak them in urine, scrape off hair and fat with a blunt knife. Then submerge them in a mixture of lime, feces, and brains. Wait, stir, dry, and repeat. It's not a punishment. It's an asterisk essential industry. Everyone needs leather, belts, boots, bags, armor, book covers, scrolls, saddles. The nobility doesn't fight wars without you. The priests don't preach without your binding work. But you are lower than low. People avoid your street. You work on the edge of town, near the river, because only there can you dump the runoff without contaminating the wells. The water turns a strange color. Fish avoid it. The town swears they taste it in the air. Even the rats walk wide circles around your door. And this isn't even the hard part. The hard part is that you're asterisk 12 years old asterisk. Apprenticed at 10. Expected to work 14-hour days. No shoes. No future. And no guarantee you'll survive past 30. The air you breathe is toxic. The infections never stop. Your hands are cracked and bleeding. You're too poor for a doctor. Too dirty for a priest. Still think history was peaceful? Let's make it worse. That bell ringing in the distance? It's not for mass. It's for asterisk plague. Again, the town crier moves down the street, shouting in Latin and broken French. Mark your doors. Quarantine the sick. No trade until further notice. You don't understand all the words. But you understand fear. People vanish fast during plague season. You bury your neighbor in a ditch yesterday. You didn't know his name. This is not the story of a knight slaying dragons. This is the story of the 99%. The ones history skipped over. You won't be mentioned in poems. No tapestries. No stained glass. You'll leave behind no journals. No letters. You can't read or write. You can barely count the coins you're not paid. But you are the scaffolding of medieval life. You build it. You clean it. You tan the skin that holds it together. And still, someone, somewhere, will say the Middle Ages were boring. That's because they never met you. They never saw what you saw. Never smelled what you smelled. Never screamed what you screamed when the blisters turned black. When the priest stopped coming. When the rats got brave. They don't know what it means to boil cow dung before breakfast. You do. So when someone tells you, history is boring, ask them this. Would you last a day? Would you last a morning? Would you survive asterisk until lunch? And if they laugh, tell them this. The people who lived this history didn't have time to write it down. They were too busy surviving. That doesn't mean they didn't matter. It means they mattered even more. The garden is still. So still it feels like a painting. Cherry blossoms drift in the wind like falling snow. A koi pond reflects the morning sun, broken only by the ripple of a fish's tail. Bamboo rustles. Somewhere, a shakuhachi flute plays. It sounds soft and haunting. Welcome to asterisk Edo, Japan. 1701. It's beautiful. And it's a asterisk prison. You're a woman. Maybe 16. Maybe 18. You don't know your exact age. No one ever told you. Your name is not written down. But today, you wear the white kimono of the asterisk servant class. You live in a asterisk daimyo residence asterisk. A grand mansion owned by a feudal lord who controls everything from rice taxes to your daily meals. You serve his wife. Or rather, you serve the women who serve the wife. You never see the daimyo. You're not allowed. In fact, you're not allowed outside. You've been here for 4 years and never left the compound. It's called asterisk uku asterisk asterisk, the inner chambers. A fortress inside a fortress. A world of women, concubines, attendants, ladies in waiting, maids, musicians, spies. Yes, asterisk spies. Because power here is a delicate game. And one wrong glance can cost your life. You bow deeper than necessary. You speak less than necessary. You keep your hands folded. Your face lowered. Your opinions hidden. Everything is polished, folded, prepared in ritualized silence. Even how you walk is choreographed. You were trained to not exist too loudly. It's peaceful, but it's not safe. Behind the paper walls, jealousy festers. You've seen one girl beaten for making too much eye contact with a visiting retainer. Another was suddenly sent away. No one speaks her name. You saw blood in the laundry after. You don't ask questions, because in Edo, Japan, especially in elite households, the rules are clear. Harmony is survival. Emotion is dangerous. Obedience is everything. You might dream of becoming a favored concubine. That's the fantasy. Rise through the ranks, gain influence, maybe even bear the daimyo a child. But for every girl who climbs that ladder, 10 fall off it quietly, permanently. And outside this mansion, things are no better. You're not allowed to own property. You can't choose who you marry. Your father probably sold you here to pay off debt. Your mother cried in the doorway but didn't stop him. And if you were born into the wrong caste, your very existence is considered impure. Your touch can taint a noble. Still think samurai culture was noble? Samurai men wrote poetry about the moon, while treating women like shadows. The real Japan wasn't just haikus and katana. It was arranged marriages at 12. It was suicide pacts in bathhouses. It was peasants forced to kneel when a lord passed by, under penalty of death. And yet, somehow, you find beauty in it. The rituals give your life structure. The seasons pass like brushstrokes. You learn to read. You memorize poems. You cry only behind a screen. You laugh only when no one listens. You survive, one breath at a time. And someday, when you're older, maybe 25, maybe 30, you'll be dismissed. Too old for service. You'll leave with a few coins and a head full of secrets. No husband, no name, no record, just wind in your hair. And no one will remember you. But the Lord's family? His sons? His polished home and sacred line? You built that, Your silence built that. Your invisible labor kept his world clean, calm, honorable. And history won't mention you. But that's the trick, isn't it? History isn't what happened. It's what gets written down. And sometimes, the most powerful stories are the ones never told. There are no wheels here. No horses. No iron. No written language. No currency. And yet, this is one of the greatest empires the world has ever seen. You are a runner. Your empire is the Inca Empire, Tawantinsuyu, the land of the four quarters. It stretches across the Andes Mountains, covering 2.500 miles, from modern-day Colombia to Chile. Bigger than Rome, built on mountains and memory. And it runs because you do. At 16, you were chosen, not because you were the fastest, but because you were the toughest. Because you could run 15 miles at 14.000 feet above sea level. Breathe through a nosebleed, and still recite numbers in your head while chewing coca leaves to dull the pain. There are no maps, no GPS, no written instructions. You carry knots, strings, colored cords, called quipus. They are your mission. One string means 5 baskets of maize. Another, 2 days of labor owed to the temple. Yet another, a warning. A tremor in the north. Maybe an omen. The knots record it all. You carry the empire's brain on your back. You don't sleep in a bed. You sleep in tambos, stone shelters built along the mountain roads. You don't eat when hungry. You eat when allowed. You don't question orders. You are the bloodstream of the state. Miss a message, and the army starves. Deliver it late, and a village is wiped out. This empire doesn't conquer with brute force. It conquers with organization. Roads, census, redistribution of goods. A bureaucracy so efficient it terrifies the Spanish when they arrive. But you have no idea about any of that. You just run. Past llamas, past potato fields, past valleys so deep you can't see the bottom. Past soldiers building stone walls without mortar. That fit so perfectly not even a blade of grass can slip through. And if you die on the road, another will replace you, instantly. Because the Inca doesn't stop. Not for fatigue, not for altitude, not for grief. Still think history was boring? Try sprinting a vertical mile before sunrise. Try memorizing imperial tax quotas while dodging jaguars. Try dying with your feet bleeding and your mouth dry. Because the fate of Cusco depends on your last 10 steps. No, there are no kings in your story. No glory. But when the emperor sits on his golden throne in the sacred city, surrounded by nobles in feathered cloaks, it is your heartbeat he listens to. It is your legs that stitched this empire together. And when the Spanish arrive, when their guns roar and their horses stomp across the sacred terraces, they don't understand you. They write about the riches, the gold, the temples, the strange, sun-obsessed priests, but they forget to write about you. Because you weren't shiny enough. You weren't loud. You just ran, but you ran so well that the Andes trembled in rhythm with your stride. So the next time someone says the Inca had no written language, you tell them, we didn't need it. We remembered, The room smells like sweat and smoke. You can't move. Your hands are bound. Ankles too. You're tied to a wooden chair in the middle of a freezing stone cell. There's a priest in front of you. His face expressionless. Another man heats a rod in the fire. You're 24 years old. And your crime is owning 2 books. This is Germany, 1593 You are a midwife. You've delivered dozens of babies in your village. You know herbs that stop bleeding. Roots that ease fever. You learned them from your mother, who learned them from hers. But last week, a boy died. You tried to help, but the fever took him anyway. And now, someone whispered that maybe it was your fault. That maybe, you meant to kill. The church sends word. They've heard rumors. They say the devil walks in your village. That someone has been seen near the woods at night. That someone speaks to cats. That someone knows the names of too many plants. They say that someone is you. You want to scream, but you've seen what happens when women scream here. So you whisper, I'm innocent. But they say, only the guilty deny. You say, I have no pact with Satan. They say, then why do you bleed when we ask questions? Because the rod is red hot now. And it's coming toward your thigh. They don't need proof. They just need a confession. Still think you'd survive history? Still think the past was peaceful? Noble? Wise? Try living in a world where knowledge is a death sentence. Where helping a woman give birth could get you hanged. Where being unmarried after 30 is a suspicious lifestyle. You're not alone, though. This is the age of witch hunts. Tens of thousands of women across Europe will be accused. Most of them poor, many old, some deaf, some simply widows. You're not burned at the stake today. Not yet. First they'll shave your head to look for devil's marks. Any mole, scar, or birthmark could be proof. Then they'll ask again, until you say what they want to hear. Until you say, yes, I flew through the night. Yes, I danced with demons. Yes, I cursed the harvest. Because lies will get you killed. But the truth will kill you slower. And if you survive long enough, maybe you'll be cleared. Maybe they'll release you. You'll return to your home. Where your neighbors whisper. Where no one lets you near their child again. Where your hands, the ones that once delivered life, are now feared. You don't speak of it. You plant your herbs quietly. You disappear into the forest when needed. You don't write anything down anymore. Because books are dangerous. Because women who remember too much burn. So no, history doesn't mention you. But your hands helped more people than any king. And they called you a witch. Not because you summoned demons. But because you healed without permission. You are not a man. Not anymore. At least, that's what they say. You were born in the Balkans. Taken at 8, castrated at 9, shipped across the empire at 10. And now, at 17, you walk the marble halls of the Topkapi Palace with a silence that makes sultans nervous. You are a black eunuch of the Ottoman court. But don't confuse silence with weakness. Because you control the palace. And through it, the empire. Still think you'd survive history? Try climbing to power in a world that literally removed your masculinity to make you safe. Try turning trauma into strategy. And loss into leverage. You serve in the harem No. Not a sex palace. The harem is the political heart of the empire. Where the sultan's mother, wives, and concubines reside. You are their gatekeeper. No one sees them without your approval. Not even the sultan himself. That's power. You're not a soldier. Not a general. You carry no sword. But you whisper in ears that wear crowns. You arrange alliances, deliver bribes, hide pregnancies, cover up deaths. You know which concubine is pregnant, which son might be the heir, which vizier is plotting rebellion. You keep secrets that can kill dynasties. You are called the Kislar Agassi chief black eunuch. Technically a slave, but in truth, one of the most powerful people in the empire. And you're untouchable, because you have nothing left to threaten. Still think power comes from muscles? Try standing still while armies kneel before you. Try managing a kingdom through pillow talk, coded letters, and gifts wrapped in silk. Try surviving a world where your body was taken, but you turned pain into politics. Oh, and remember, if you fail, you're not replaced by a vote. You're replaced by strangulation. With a silk cord. Because Ottoman executions are silent. Quick. Elegant. Just like you. So no, there won't be statues of you. There won't be children carrying your name. But when the Sultan's son ascends the throne, you'll be the one placing the crown. And no one dares ask. Who really rules? You think Elon Musk is rich? Jeff Bezos? Try spending so much gold that you cause an economic collapse across 3 countries. You are Mansa Musa, Emperor of Mali. It's 1324, and you're about to go on a little trip. A pilgrimage to Mecca. Every Muslim must do it once in their life. But no one does it like you. You don't travel with a suitcase. You travel with 60.000 people. 500 of them carry gold staffs. 100 camels, each loaded with 300 pounds of pure gold. Musicians, soldiers, slaves, heralds, dancers, cooks, architects, historians. You're not just going on Hajj. You're about to rewrite the map. Because the world doesn't know much about Mali yet. But they will. Still think history was boring? Try walking into Cairo with so much gold. The price of everything drops for 12 years straight. Try giving so many handouts that local economies collapse. You stop in every city along the way. You build mosques. You feed entire towns. You hand out so much gold. It causes inflation. And not mild inflation. No, crushing. Prices quadruple. Merchants panic. Silver collapses. You don't just visit Egypt. You accidentally break it. And then? You keep walking. Because you're not just rich. You are the king of kings. Your empire stretches over modern-day Mali, Senegal, Gambia, Guinea, Niger, and Nigeria. You control the Sahara trade routes, where salt is as valuable as gold. And gold flows like rivers. But you don't just hoard it. You build with it. Timbuktu becomes a hub of Islamic learning. Libraries, universities, centers of philosophy and science that rival anything in Europe. But do European maps show your cities? No. They draw dragons instead. Until an Italian cartographer finally hears about you and puts a man with dark skin and a gold crown on a throne in the middle of Africa. That's you. But he doesn't spell your name right. And centuries later, you're erased again. Still think you would have survived history? Try being the richest man to ever live, and still being a footnote. Try building an empire of trade, knowledge, and culture, only to be replaced by stories of jungle savages and empty deserts. Try watching your descendants struggle under colonialism, while the world forgets who built the cities, carved the roads, or funded the mosques that still stand today. Your gold may be gone, but your legacy? It's buried, not broken. And maybe, just maybe, that silence is the loudest wealth of all. It smells like shit, and death, and you're used to it. Because you've lived here, in this trench for 57 days straight. Welcome to Ypres, 1915 You're 19. You haven't seen a real bed in months. Your socks haven't been dry since last summer. There's mold growing on your feet. Rats chew on corpses next to you at night. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is, nothing is happening. No charges, no glory, just sitting, in the mud, waiting. Sometimes you hear a whistle. Sometimes a gas shell drops. And everyone scrambles for masks. But most of the time? You're just here, wet, cold, starving. Your hands shake. Your skin is peeling. Your best friend died 2 weeks ago. And you didn't cry. You couldn't. You were too tired. They told you war would make a man out of you. But this? This makes monsters. Still think you'd survive history? Try going over the top when the captain screams. Try running into machine gun fire while your stomach growls. Try writing letters home you know will never get there. Try not losing your mind when your trench floods and bodies float by with half their faces gone. You know what a gas attack smells like now. You know how to tell if a man is dead by the way he slumps. You know the taste of iron from biting your own tongue to stay quiet while the enemy walks 6 feet above you. They called it the war to end all wars. But when it ended, no one really won. 9 million dead, 21 million wounded, a generation broken. And when the soldiers came home, they didn't come back as heroes. They came back silent. Because how do you explain a war where you never saw the enemy's face? How do you explain living in mud while politicians dined in silk? How do you explain digging your own grave every day, and calling it a defensive position? You won't find poetry in this history. No swelling music. No noble sacrifice. Just boys sent to die for an argument between empires. And the only medal most of them got? Was a wooden cross. So no, you wouldn't last a day here. And maybe, just maybe, that's the point,